back-to-back weekends in the Apex. UFC Vegas 109, quick picks, quick predictions. We got Anthony Hernandez facing off against Roman Dolidze this weekend. Pretty solid main event. It's in the Apex. I'm going to break down the entire card, give you my quick picks, my quick predictions. Before we go ahead and get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's start it off with the early prelim opener of Gabriela Fernandez versus Julia Stoliarenko. Opens up this fight night, opens up this Apex card, and it's not a very good fight. I'm not going to lie. It's very low level, but I think there's a clear winner in this fight. There's a lot of massive favorites in this card or on this card, and I think most of them will win. It's going to be a decently favorite-heavy card. I picked a lot of underdogs last week. A lot of underdogs cashed and a lot of underdogs won, but this week there's a lot of big favorites, and I think for the majority of them, they're going to win. I think Gabriela Fernandez is going to smoke Julia Stoliarenko. Stoliarenko should not be in the UFC. She's 11-9. The career has not been good. Besides having a couple of armbar submissions, she's really got nothing, and she's going to have nothing for Gabriela Fernandez. Fernandez is tough on the feet. She's got power in her hands. In her last fight, she fraud-checked Wang Kong, one of the biggest prospects at the moment in flyweight. She fraud-checked her brutally in China as well, dropped her with a big right hook, and then finished her by submission and choked her out cold. Really nice win by Gabriela Fernandez. This is honestly such an easy matchup for her compared to Wang Kong, I think. You know, Julia does have some grappling capabilities. She does have some better defense on the ground, so I don't think Gabriela Fernandez is going to finish Julia on the ground, but I do think on the feet is going to be a big difference in the striking, and I think Gabriela is going to get it done by either decision or by KO. I could see a potential KO, but I'm going to say Gabriela Fernandez gets a decision here. Julia has been knocked out a couple times, so I could see Gabriela getting the finish, but I'm going to go Gabriela Fernandez by decision as the early pick, as the quick pick. We move on to the next fight, Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. What am I even saying? Gilbert's horrible. He's really bad. He's lost some good competition. You know, he lost to Brian Battle, and his last one, I forget who he lost to, but they're not horrible wins or horrible losses, excuse me, but he just doesn't have much good winning potential here. I don't see him beating Uros Medic. Gilbert Urbina doesn't have much power in his hands. He doesn't have a crazy amount of finishing capabilities, which is what you kind of need to beat Uros Medic. He's been finished before. He is finishable, but in his last one, he got knocked out by Punali Soriano. Not a very good loss, but you know, he did get knocked out by a guy who was cutting weight, cutting down to 170, who looked very big. I think Uros Medic wins this fight, and I think he's just a better overall MMA fighter. I think skill for skill, his striking is better. Grappling-wise, it's going to be interesting, but I don't see Gilbert going for those takedowns, going for capabilities. You know, Uros Medic has been subbed before. He got subbed by Oralby, and was that at 155 or at 170? I don't remember exactly, but Uros Medic is not very good on the ground. Good thing for him. Good news for him is that Gilbert is not going to bring it to the ground. So give me Uros Medic by KO. I think he gets it done. The doctor is going to get back in the win column. We move on to the next fight. We got Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Tough one to pick, but I'm going to lean Jocelyn Edwards. I do think she's the better striker. You know, does she have the more power? I don't think so. Both these women are coming off TKO wins. Really good, nasty KOs, honestly. Good early KOs as well. Jocelyn Edwards got that early KO over, what was her name? Was it Chelsea Chandler or something? And Priscilla Cachoeira got that KO over the big bowling ball. I forget her name. Oh my goodness. Josiane Nunes. She's TKO'd her with a big uppercut, and Jocelyn Edwards just poured the pressure on Chelsea Chandler. So both these women are coming off good wins, but I'm going to lean Jocelyn Edwards as the quick pick, as the early pick, because I think she is the better fighter. I think she's striking-wise, she's going to be the better striker, the cleaner striker. She's going to manage the distance better. She's got a longer reach. She's going to pop the jab and utilize the kicks. Priscilla Cachoeira, the issue with her is she doesn't mix her martial arts up well. She's mostly a striker. She doesn't really grapple with you. She's got holes in her game, in the grappling as well, and in the striking. She's got some power, but I don't think she's going to be able to utilize that power on Jocelyn Edwards, and I think Edwards' chin is good enough to survive any big shots that Priscilla throws at her. So give me Jocelyn Edwards by decision. I think she's going to just tune up Priscilla Cachoeira for 3 rounds. Give me Jocelyn Edwards by decision for the quick pick. We move on to the next fight. Elijah Smith versus Toshiyami Kazama. I'm going to go with Elijah Smith as the early pick. I do think he's the better fighter. I think he's a pretty good prospect, but I do think there's holes in his game. I do think Toshiyami Kazama could find a finish in this fight. I think he could exploit some of the holes that Elijah Smith has in his grappling, in his submission defense, because Kazama's a very good submission artist. He's got a lot of submissions in his record. He's got a lot of rear naked chokes, a lot of good submissions. And I think Elijah Smith almost got subbed a few times in his last fight, and that was against a low-level Morales. That was against a low-level Morales, and he almost got choked out multiple times. Multiple times. You know, Morales does have a sneaky Dars. He wasn't able to finish Chihuihuis. He wasn't able to finish Eliza Smith, but Smith did get in some bad positions. And if he does that against Toshiomi Kazama could finish the fight. He's younger than Morales. He's 28. He's still got a good time left for his fighting career, but the problem is Kazama's chin is a little bit weak. Elijah could exploit that. I'm going to go Elijah Smith by KO, honestly. I think he could find a KO shot over Kazama, who has been KO'd 3 times now in his in his MMA career, and he is a bit chinny. So give me Elijah Smith by KO in the second round as the quick pick. We move on to the next fight, Julius Walker versus Rafael Sequeira. Finishes off the prelims. Very, very low-level fight. Horrible fight. I'm not going to lie. Rafael Sequeira should not be in the UFC. He was 11-0 coming into the UFC. Got TKO'd in the first round against Ivo Aslan. And then in his last fight, got TKO'd in the first round against Modestas Bukauskas. Brutally. Got finished as well. Brutally. I am not putting any more trust in Rafael Sequeira. I can't do it anymore. I can't pick him. I can't bet on him. I'm just staying away from Rafael Sequeira. Give me Julius Walker as the quick pick. Walker's striking is bad, but he's really, really big. You know, he marches forward. He can take a punch and give one back. In his last fight, he had a fight of the night against Manyfield on short notice as well. And Manyfield's done pretty well. He shut down a prospect in his last one. So his age is kind of good for Julius Walker. I think he gets this one done, and I think he finds a finish over Rafael Sequeira. Give me Julius Walker by KO in round 1 or round 2 for the quick pick. We move on to the main card. Opening up the main card, Eric Anders takes on Christian Leroy Duncan. So-so of a fight. Eric Anders, you know, he's up there in age. He's been fighting for a long time. Had a good fight in his last one against Chris Weidman. Finished him kind of late in the fight. Just poured it on. Got a nice finish. But Christian Leroy Duncan, younger, faster, more powerful. I gotta speak. The speed is going to be a huge factor in this fight. Eric Anders is slow. I do believe he's slow, and he's slowing down. I think Christian Leroy Duncan's very fast. He beat Andre Pulyaev in his last fight. We just saw Pulyaev get that finish in the second round last weekend. I think Christian Leroy Duncan's a good striker. I think he's a good striker. He can march forward. He's very big. He's very fast, like I've been saying. You know, I think the speed is just going to be a really big difference in this fight, and the volume. I think Christian Leroy Duncan's just going to put out more volume, have the pop in his shots, and just piece up and sting Eric Anders in moments. I think he's going to hurt Eric Anders really bad in the second round, and I think he's going to finish him in the third round. Give me Christian Leroy Duncan as the quick pick, as the early pick in this fight. I think he gets a finish over Eric Anders, who's just a bit too old for my liking and is just a bit too slow now. We're going to move on to the next fight, though. Miles Johns versus Jean Matsumoto. Not a terrible fight. You know, Miles Johns, 15-3. He's pretty good. Struggles a little bit on the ground, and I think Jean Matsumoto is going to take advantage of that. Matsumoto had a close fight in his last one. Had his first loss ever in his MMA career. He's young, very young, talented dude. Fought Rob Font, almost beat him by split decision. He lost that fight. It was very close. Could have gone either way, but Rob Font did do more damage, landed big shots on Jean Matsumoto, and pieced him up, bloodied him up. And I honestly sided with Rob in that one. I think he won that fight, but it was very close. Matsumoto got his takedowns. He was pushing forward. He's landing good shots. He's a good prospect. He's still a good prospect, and it was a big jump up in competition. I think he gets this one done over Miles Johns, who, like I said, has some takedown defense issues. I think he's going to get taken down in this fight. I think he's going to get grappled, and I think Jean Matsumoto is actually going to find a finish over Miles Johns here. I think he's going to find a submission over Miles Johns in the second or the third round. Give me Jean Matsumoto by submission as the quick pick here. We move on to the next fight, Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. The prospect killer, man. He's not fighting a prospect. Christian Rodriguez, when he fights unks or he fights guys that he should beat, he loses. In his last fight against Melky Costa, dude that he should have beat, but he lost because it's not a prospect. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense, but it just seems to be a pattern with Christian Rodriguez. His only losses are to actual unks or just guys that are middle range, that aren't prospects, aren't guys on the come up. And Andre Fili is the complete opposite of a guy on the come up. He's got 36 fights in his MMA career. He's nearing the end of his career, and he's kind of an unk. Took some damage in his last one. Both these guys are coming off losses to Melk Costa. I just realized both these guys are coming off losses to Melk Costa. He's on a streak right now, taking out both of them. But Andre Fili put himself in a guillotine in his last fight. It was horrible. Very embarrassing performance by Andre Fili. He was on the ground on top of Costa and just literally stuck his head in the guillotine. There's nothing else to say. Christian Rodriguez in his last one against Costa, he was pushing forward. He was marching forward. He's landing good shots, but Melky just put the pressure on him. You know, stayed gritty, stayed tough, and was able to take take down Christian Rodriguez in moments and stuff takedowns from Rodriguez. So closer fight between Christian Rodriguez and Melky Costa than Melky and Andre Fili, but honestly, I'm leaning Andre Fili in this fight. I think Christian Rodriguez is going to be trying to get the takedowns, but I think Fili's the better striker. I think he's the better striker, the longer striker, and he's much taller. I think he can, if he can keep this on the feet, I think he wins this fight. So give me Andre Fili by decision. Christian Rodriguez just doesn't do good against guys with experience or with, a bit of grit. So I think Andre Fili, we're going to see some grit here. I think he wants to get back in the win column, and he's going to really try to get this win over Christian Rodriguez. Give me Andre Fili by decision as the quick pick. We move on. Yasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill is the feature fight of this main card. Not the worst fight, but we've definitely seen worse. But this is an interesting one because Angela Hill won her first split decision ever in her last fight. I think she deserved it. It was over Ketlin Souza. She deserved that win. And she's facing Yasmin Lucindo, another young prospect from Brazil. Another young Brazilian. And I think Angela Hill can pull this off. And I think she will pull this off. Yasmin Lucindo, it's clear what she's going to be looking for. She's going to be looking for takedowns. She's going to be looking to get dominant position. But in her last fight against Lemos, that was a boring fight. That was a terrible fight. She was laying on her back the entire fight, not doing anything when she got taken down, not even trying to get back up, not putting any sort of pop in her shot, not trying to finish the fight, not trying to get back to her feet. It was embarrassing. It was a bad fight, terrible fight on a main card of a pay-per-view. Terrible, terrible fight. And I think, Yasmin Lucindo's going to lose this fight to Angela Hill because Angela Hill will not stop moving. She will not stop getting up. This is the season of the Unks. The Unks have been winning nonstop. We just had freaking, what's his name? Neil Magny last weekend have a good comeback victory. Unk after Unk after Unk after Unk have been winning, and I'm taking this Unk, Angela Hill, as the underdog as well. Spoiler, she's going to be one of my dogs of the week. Give me Angela Hill to get this one done by decision, man. She's going to land the better shot. She's going to throw more volume for sure, and she's going to stuff those takedowns, I think. So give me Angela Hill by decision, and give me the Unk, man. We move on. This is not the fight. I hate the UFC website. If I was working for the UFC, I know I would do a better job. I just know I would do a better job, all right? With the graphic design, with the graphics, with the updating their website. Update your website, man. You guys are a multi-billion-dollar company. Update your website. This is not Alex Perez versus Steve Erceg. It is Ode Osborne versus Steve Erceg. It's been rescheduled. This fight has been switched up a bunch of times. Steve Erceg was supposed to fight Alex Perez. Then he was supposed to fight Hyung-Sung Park, who fought last weekend on short notice. And now he's supposed to fight Ode Osborne. So they're giving Steve Erceg a bit of a layup here. And I think it's a good layup, and I think it's a layup that he will win. Give me Steve Erceg against Ode Osborne. Ode Osborne, he's chinny. He can be submitted. He has holes in his game. He is a good fighter, though. Don't get me wrong. Ode Osborne could totally chin Steve Erceg. I could so see a massive right hook by Ode Osborne, drop Steve Erceg, and finish him. And if that's the case, unfortunately, Steve Erceg's career will be over. It'll be over. But finally, Steve Erceg is fighting somebody not in the rankings, below him, below level of him, supposed to be. So Steve Erceg should win this fight. He should win this fight. And I think he will find a finish over Ode Osborne. He should find a finish over Ode Osborne. If he doesn't, I think Steve Erceg's career is over, man. But he's on a big losing streak. He just fought former champ. This is a big step down in competition. Like, big. This is like going from former champ to unranked flyweight. Or why does it say bantamweight? He's not fighting at bantamweight. Steve Erceg should win this fight. That's all there is to say. Quick pick. My quick prediction is going to be Steve Erceg by KO or submission early in the fight. He should get a finish in this one. Ode Osborne's chinny. He's submittable as well. Quite easy to finish. I think Steve Erceg should win this if he wants to stay in the rankings, if he wants any chance at becoming something in the UFC. So give me Steve Erceg as the quick pick. We move on to the main event, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. Took a while to get here, but we're finally at the main event. Roman Dolidze, man, he's an absolute tank. He's a unit. He's very big for the division, very tanky for the division, got a lot of power in his hands, and he's been getting better. Even though he's getting older, he's older in the division. I think he's 35. He's getting better, okay? And middleweight's one of those divisions where you can be a bit older and still gain skills, still develop skills. But Anthony Hernandez is on a streak. He's on a roll at the moment. He's getting win after win after win, and he's looking pretty good. The problem that I have with Anthony Hernandez is the fact that he doesn't really have anything when he can't get the grappling going. I don't think his striking can match up against Roman Dolidze's. Roman Dolidze is a very big dude for the division. I think Anthony Hernandez, if he can't get his grappling, if he can't take down Roman Dolidze and get top position and hold him there for multiple rounds, I think he loses this fight. Now, Anthony Hernandez is very good, okay? I just made a video breaking down why I think Anthony Hernandez is overrated, and I do, because a lot of people see him as a future champ. I don't see him as a future champ. I'm sorry if you're an Anthony Hernandez glazer. I'm sorry if you love Anthony Hernandez, but he's not beating those top 5 dudes. He's just not. He's not. You know, I could see him beating a Robert Whittaker. I could. I definitely could. But honestly, I see Roman Dolidze beating Robert Whittaker as well. Whittaker's on the decline. It's clear. I see Roman Dolidze winning this fight by decision. I think he is going to outstrike Anthony Hernandez and keep it on the feet. And on the feet, Roman Dolidze is the better striker, the more powerful striker. His shots are going to land a lot harder than Anthony Hernandez. And I think he's going to have the cardio. I think Roman Dolidze has been working on his cardio for 5 rounds. I think he's got it. I think he has it. He just showed in his last fight against Marvin Vettori. He can go 5 rounds. He can keep the pressure on for 5 rounds. And he looked a lot better in his rematch against Marvin Vettori than in the first fight. He's made a lot of changes, a lot of developments. He's working with Merab. And Anthony Hernandez is seen as a middleweight Merab, per se. But I think Roman Dolidze gets it done. Give me Roman Dolidze as a quick pick by decision as the underdog as well, as a big-time underdog, man. I don't think Anthony Hernandez should be this big of a favorite, so I'm going with Roman Dolidze by decision. I think he gets it done. Anthony Hernandez is a bit overrated for my liking. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that, though. Let me know who you guys are picking in the main event. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.